Anyone else to admit? Let me just check. There's a lot of you. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for joining today. So let's get started. Hang on, more to admit. So my name is Marina Gask. I am a journalist. I've been a journalist for what feels like 100,000 years. It's actually 37 years. I started out in 1989. And today we're going to talk about how to get your brand into the media. Just checking if there's any more people to admit. Welcome, everyone. It would be really helpful if you guys could just say in chat what sectors you work in, because that would really help me to understand the kind of press that you might be looking for. So if you can just pop in the chat, are you a therapist? Are you food product? Okay, retirement. This is really helpful. This gives me ideas on, the kind of subjects to focus on. Financial services, children's charity, retirement coaching and workshops. Great. This is really great. Someone just put coaching. Coaching is too broad. Always be more specific if you can, because coaching, I'm a coach, there's so many different types of coach. So let's get started. Just going to share my screen. I don't know what's happened to my screen. That's weird. Okay, cool. Share. Present. Okay, admit. Okay, can you all see my screen? Can you all see the presentation? Great. Fantastic. Okay, so this is all about how to get you and your brand in the media spotlight. And as I said, my name is Marina Gask. I am a press coach and media strategist, and I'm also a journalist. There we go. Let's move on. Okay, so what we're going to do today, instead of identifying what you want to say in the press, we're going to identify what journalists need in order to make their job easier. And if you do this, they will love you forever and they will come back again and again to talk to you. So where it all started was, in fact, Just 17 magazine. I'm hoping some of you might remember Just 17, where I was a sub-editor from 1989. I then moved to Sugar magazine. I worked on the launch of Sugar, Teen Girls Monthly, and I was the editor of that magazine, and I was also the editor of More. Major highlights for me were being on The Big Breakfast with Zig and Zag. I also interviewed Robbie Williams. I actually preferred interviewing Zig and Zag to Robbie Williams, but there you go. Ask me about that sometime. I also contributed to many magazines. I spent a year at Cosmopolitan, a year at Glamour. I was editor of Top Santé magazine, and I've written for lots and lots of women's magazines, some of which actually still exist, which is thrilling. I spent 2 years at the Telegraph, mainly working on the health desk. And these are some of the articles I've written in the last few years for the Mail, the Guardian, the Independent, and the Telegraph. So I know my stuff. So journalists are always under pressure to find stories and experts that are relevant to what's happening in the news and around us. And the top reasons that a business might want to get press coverage include boosting your credibility. Somebody asked me about this the other day. That's why I'm going through it. Somebody asked me the other day, why would I want to be in the press? I'm on social media. I get loads of business through social media. Getting in the press works really well alongside social media. It boosts your credibility. It positions you as an expert and a thought leader or a mover and shaker. It gives you that authority and that credibility that can really enhance your brand. You get seen as a trusted source. It raises your visibility among potential clients and the wider media. So other media might come to you if you've appeared in an article or on TV or on the radio, Other media go, I want to talk to that person. She was really interesting. It gives you shareable content that you can share again and again. Digital content is obviously the most precious because that's, that's got links in it. You can share that till the cows come home. You can put the logos on your website, as seen in, you can put it on your email signature. It's really valuable. What makes you press worthy? So there's a lot here. So I'll run through it. Insightful opinions on the zeitgeist. Controversial opinions, even better. Someone asked me the other day, what is the zeitgeist? It basically means what everyone's talking about right now. So examples from the last couple of weeks would be obviously the war in the Middle East, but it's the roll-on effect of that on our lives. So cost of living, pensions, money worries, redundancies, applying for jobs, impact on youth, and also how frightening world affairs are affecting our mental health and our future plans and our travel plans and our sense of self. People are also really looking for positive stories at a time like this. So reading, for example, I lost my job, but I started a business in my 60s and look at me now. People love that kind of story. So don't think that I'm saying by zeitgeist, I mean grim stuff. Other stuff from the last couple of weeks has been Louis Theroux talking about toxic masculinity, impact on women, behavior in the workplace, etc., etc. Mother's Day has been a huge thing in the last couple of weeks. Well, it's been a huge thing last Sunday, in fact. But stories about mums, about how becoming a mum made me change my business. I run a business with my mum. I couldn't be a mum. I didn't want to be a mum. I hated being a mum. These are the kind of stories that will tap into what I'm referring to as the zeitgeist. Changes to SEND education have been huge recently. SEND being special educational needs. So the impact on the families, thoughts from experts, how neurodivergent people thrive in adulthood or don't. Other stories that have been in the press in the last couple of weeks include, everyone's talking about the 90s, the Oscars, obviously, heated rivalries, massive, meningitis as well. If you can tap into any of these things, and you need to start thinking laterally about how you can do that, and also thinking about the stories in the news that everyone's talking about that are relevant to you, because this is just a small cross section. That's how you do it. So if you have a powerful story that will move and inspire, that's a great way to get yourself into the press. That doesn't necessarily need to tap into the news, but it helps. If you have a unique expertise or business that solves a new or perennial problem. So think about that. What is it that you do that changes something for a community, that transforms people's lives? If you have an attention-grabbing book or podcast or TED Talk, any of these will make you instantly interesting to the press. Especially if it's a theme that's sort of tapping into what everyone's talking about or what a community is interested in. If you are running a campaign, an event, or a survey, again, that sheds light on a particular subject, think timing. Is there something about you or your business that ties in with the annual calendar? So there's something called, I wrote it down somewhere, there's, national days of. So if you have National Carers Day, National Women's, International Women's Month, neurodivergency, anything that taps into what you do that you can, tying in with that calendar. So basically familiarize yourself with the calendar of national days and national weeks and national months, and think about how you can tie your business in with that so you can be pitching to the media in advance of that national day. Another way of making you press worthy is having a micro niche. So I said at the start, describing yourself as a coach is too general. You need to micro niche down. So you need to have a special sector or service that you offer, or community that you serve, or problem that you solve. So think about how you can describe yourself when you pitch to the media, so that they immediately get what it is that you do and how it's different. If you think your business isn't press worthy, if you're really struggling to think how to make yourself relevant to the press. I'm giving 10 people the opportunity to book a 15-minute call with me. We've described this as turbo calls, which sounds a bit scary, but it's not scary at all. It's the chance to speak to me for 15 minutes and talk to me about your business and what it is that you do, and I will help you identify your press hook. So scan the QR code if you would like a 15-minute chat with me. Okay. So there are 3 steps to getting yourself in the press. You need to become your own PR exec, which means scanning the media. You need to create your pitch and press release. So I'm going to talk you through how to do that shortly. And you need to prepare for media interviews so that you are ready to get your message across and not get distracted or overwhelmed. So being your own PR exec means doing what a lot of journalists do, in fact, which is getting up early to scan the media. You need to get used to looking, and this is TV, this is radio, this is, news sites, reputable ones preferably, like the Times, the Financial Times, the Guardian, BBC, Channel 4. Get your information from these in the morning. And if you see a story, something that's happening that's relevant to you, oh, hang on, I've just got to admit someone. Sorry about that. That is your opportunity to come up with your pitch and to get your press release across to journalists. Think about how you and your business services are relevant to the day's stories. You might see someone being quoted in an article that's along the same lines as what you do, and you may be thinking, how come they're getting quoted and not me? That's a bell ringing telling you that's the kind of thing that you should be pitching for. Can you offer opinion or wisdom or case studies? Now, case studies really help, especially coaches, especially people who offer any kind of counseling, that kind of thing. It really helps if you've got case studies, people who you can put forward who are happy to be in the media, who are happy to be a little story. So if you say, for example, I'm a business coach specializing in people over 60 launching businesses. If you have case studies of people you've helped to launch their business and they're over the age of 60, that's the kind of thing that journalists need, often in a hurry. So you need to have that available, and you need to have yourself available now if you're pitching yourself. This is how you make the journalist job easier, because journalists are always in a hurry. If they've been told you need to write a story about this thing, they're in a hurry to find the expert, the case studies, the facts. Provide them with what they need exactly when they need it. Next, you need to create your pitch and your press release. So a press release, some people say you don't need a press release. I would argue you do, but keep it concise. Don't tell your life story. You need a press release that basically tells the world what you do, why you're an expert. Keep your headline attention grabbing and spend some time getting this right. I often think that the headline should be like the headline of an article, So, the woman who changes lives by ... or something like that. Make it really attention grabbing. Start with a brief, punchy message that you want to share and state why this is relevant. So you can include a statistic, you could include a new study, you could refer to the famous zeitgeist, you could refer to the fact that everybody's talking about this right now, which is why you're putting yourself forward to be interviewed. Make your press release easy to skim read. So use bullet points, bold things up, don't just send a big block of copy, break it up and put a photo of you in, make it easy to read, easy to navigate. Now, in order to send your press release, you need to write a short and persuasive pitch email. When I say short, it can be a paragraph or maybe 2 short paragraphs that explain the angle and the relevance of your proposal. And you need to put something, probably the headline of the press release in your or the pitch in your subject line, so that journalists will actually open the email and read it rather than delete it. Because unfortunately, journalists receive hundreds of these every day. You don't want to be the one that gets ignored. A media pack is handy. A media pack is basically a PDF that has all the information about you in one small, one easy, like a headshot, a bio, product shots, press release. It's everything that's in one place, that's easy for journalists to see and read quickly. Be prepared, respond quickly, and be readily available. If you get offered an interview, oh, somebody else wants to be admitted. There we go. If you get offered an interview, make sure before you agree to it, do a bit of research. Check out the journalist, check out the publication, the section that they are proposing including it in. You want to know a bit more about it before you say yes. So request some information, the premise of the article. Who else are they interviewing? They might say they don't know. They might say, I'm just researching at the moment. I just want to find out a bit more about you. And in that case, say, can you get back to me? Can you please keep me informed so that you understand what you're signing up to? In advance of the interview, make some notes. So decide what are the key points that you want to make now that you know what the premise is. The danger, I think, if you don't do that is that they'll start asking you questions and you'll just start talking sort of freely without being guarded. I think it's a really important point to make some notes so that you can stick to your message. If you're mentioning anyone in your interview, you need to get permission. If, for example, you're mentioning your ex-husband or your daughter who had anorexia, or somebody that you used to work with, you need to check that you have permission to mention them, or if you're mentioning them by name or in an identifiable way. Make sure that you have contact details of the journalist so that you can get back to them and say, actually, that thing I said, I'd rather not include that, or can you just tell me a bit more about the article, or whatever. And be concise. And during the interview, be concise and say something new. If you're somebody who works in a field that's a very broad field, where there are a lot of other experts, you want to be saying something different so that journalists come back to you for quotes again and again. Once you get in the press, you want to bang on about it. You want to write a post about being in the press, how it was for you, why you did it. You want to share the article again and again and again. Don't be shy. I'm amazed sometimes when people don't do this. They just think, oh, the article's out there, loads of people are going to read it. Well, a lot more are going to read it if you share it everywhere. Don't forget to thank the journalist online. Connect with them on social media. Thank them, like and comment on their posts, and stay in touch with them. Don't be a stalker, but keep them informed of what you're doing now, what's coming up, because they might be interested. Include an excerpt of the interview in your next press release, as quoted in, and also include as seen into your email signature and website. This can do a lot for you, getting in the press. It's not to be underestimated. So it's really worth the effort. So I am offering a 6-week live program to help people craft their message. So really, what we've done here is just the tip of the iceberg. It's a starting point to sort of get you all thinking in the right way and working on your press release and your thoughts about what makes you press worthy. But if you'd like more help to sort of skyrocket your media presence, I'm offering a 6-week live program. This is the first cohort I'm doing, and I'm offering it at a founder rate. And there's just 10 spots. I want to make it really focused, really targeted for those 10 people. And I'm also keeping it at this rate in order to get your feedback, which will be invaluable. So if anybody would like to sign up, as I say, there are only 10 spots. So scan the QR code now, and I'd love to work with you on helping you craft your media message. I'll be connecting you with journalists. I'll be helping you get noticed by the media. It's much more intense than what we've run through today in half an hour. So do sign up. And are there any questions? Please ask me your questions. How do I quit out? Stop share. Okay.
I've got a question, Marina.
Who's got a question?
Sorry. My name's Emma. Hi.
Hi, Emma.
I was trying to figure out how to put my hand up, but I'm a bit slow, so thought I'd just launch in there.
Go for it.
If so, I have written an article on a particular topic I'm passionate about for Grazia.
Yeah.
Can I pitch that a sort of a version of that same topic to other outlets, and how, like, should I tell them that I've already written an article in Grazia so that they can sort of see that and
It
suggest?
depends. It depends on the publication. So if it's something that's not in the same market as
Mm.
Grazia, if it's, say, Good Housekeeping, which is a different age group, or if it's, a newspaper, it shouldn't be a problem. If it's within the same market, if it's absolutely bang on in the same market, you'd need to be quite careful to write it in a slightly different way.
Mm. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
But I would say, I think it's a good idea to say that you wrote a piece for Grazia, because that will obviously underline the fact that you're a good writer and
Mm.
that you've been published in Grazia. But just be really careful not to overlap. To come in with a different angle, because otherwise they're just going to be, well, you've already written that for them. Why would we?
Yeah.
Why would we want that? Does anyone else have questions?
There's a comment in the chat from Sarah. If we are in the press, can we screenshot the article for social media or only add the link?
You can't screenshot the whole article. That would get you into legal trouble. You can screenshot part of the article. This is what I do when I write for publications. You can screenshot, like showing the logo of the publication and the headline and your name, and then share a link to the article, in comments or whatever. But no, you can't share the entire article. There's a reason why you have to pay to subscribe to the Telegraph or the Times or wherever, and that if your article's been published there and then you share it, the entire thing, then obviously that's taking away subscribers from them. So I hope that's clear. Anyone else got questions?
Do you have a recommendation for how to best outreach? Do reporters prefer like LinkedIn messages or messages through like the platform or the news?
I mean, gosh, I think try them all. Try them all. LinkedIn is good. Actually, that's a good question. Finding journalist contact details. You can usually find this by Googling. Just Google their name and the publication they work for and put contact details, and you can find their contact details. Some will put it in their social media profile or, on LinkedIn, etc. But yeah, I don't, to be honest, I don't take pictures from LinkedIn. I get emailed them. That's how I do. Some people don't like email. I do. That works for me. But I would just say, if there's a journalist that you like, if they have a particular patch that is of relevance to you that you really like, connect with them on social media and comment on what they write and say, I really love what you write. I'd love to be involved. Here are my thoughts, or, can I send you a pitch? That's, I would say, the best thing to do. Anyone else got any questions?
But I have a question, Marina.
Hi,
It's Sarah.
Hi.
Oh, sorry. Can I talk?
Go for it.
Yeah, I have a very specific question. I don't know if you're into answering that kind of questions. I know a little about PR because I work in tech and I used to approach journalists before using our company's data. But now I'm doing completely different, doing a food product, which is my product.
Okay.
And I've been approached by a specific magazine, and they were really interested in the unique marketing that I'm doing. They want to do the whole piece about it, but I have to pay for it. It's going to be like a Q&A only about me and a page about, and I felt like a bit confused because I'm not sure it's worth paying for just one piece. Yeah.
That's a weird one, and I've been asked about this before, and I would say it depends on what the publication is. If it's one you really like and that you really think would be of value to you, and if you can afford it, it could well be worth it. But you could argue that you shouldn't need to do that, you know. It really does depend. It really does depend. You know, obviously they're going to say they love your product and they love your marketing and they love this and they love that. They want money. They want to make money, you know. So I would say tread carefully, you know, really think it through, really have a look at some other ones. Ask them to send you examples of other ones they've done with other brands to see if you like what they do and how it makes you feel.
Thank you.
Marina, I was going to ask, in terms of following up with an opportunity. So I was interviewed by BBC, but what's his Women's Hour. So obviously they research team kind of contacted me, and then I was on the program. What's your advice in terms of sort of following up? Because presumably once you're on their list for something, there's an opportunity for more. How do you recommend? Is that a relationship, or literally you're in their database?
No, it is a relationship because they've interviewed you before and they liked you. You know, well, hopefully they liked you. I'm sure they did. You know, I would just follow up, but just don't be sort of too stalkery. Like I said, you know, follow up. Say it was a real pleasure to be interviewed by you. I would love to talk more. You know, maybe list a few subjects that you're really conversant with, you know, that you're an expert in. Give them the opportunity to know you better, because most of us can talk about more than one subject, can't we? Most of us have a list of things that we're an expert in. So make sure that they know you, make sure that they have the information, and just say, I would really be up for doing more of this. If you ever interview anyone about Happy Valley or whatever, you know, whatever it is that you love, that you have strong opinions on, make sure that they know, and also know that you know you have a personality. You're not just another interviewee, because they interview obviously thousands of people and you want to make yourself memorable.
Yeah, it was very niche. It was Blue Monday.
It was Blue Monday. Yeah. Okay.
That speaks to what you were talking at the beginning in terms of, you know, there's obviously a very particular like awareness day or whatever.
Yeah. So they wouldn't necessarily know what other things you can talk about.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to give them the opportunity to know you better, but just don't. Yeah. Just, you know, and also, you know, come back to them when a subject comes up that's really big for you. Contact them and just say, you interviewed me back in January about blah blah. I think you should do a piece on this. Here's what I would have to say, and you know, take it from there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Valerie. That's lovely of you.
Marina,
yes, I've got my hands up.
Is that Lavinia? Hi.
Hi. So a couple of questions. The first one is, how do you go about positioning in regards to this? So I'm in the tech space.
Yeah.
My niche is blockchain with the convergence of AI. So I'm not all AI. I'm more blockchain, AI, touching on social impact and ethical tech ultimately. And I talk about it in a very lifestyle way. So I prefer, or I would like to be featured in lifestyle magazines, but the topic that I talk about isn't really their niche. It's more fashion. They might talk about fashion and tech, but not talking about it like from the entrepreneurship, building, etc., etc. So how does one position themselves to be called up to lifestyle magazines, about the subject I talk about in the language that they use, but it's not necessarily their language? How would you approach that? Because that's what I really want PR on.
It's quite tricky. It's quite tricky, and I've done a little bit of work in blockchain in the past, and it is quite tricky. But I would say sign up for a 15-minute turbo call, and we can talk about it, because that's so specific and difficult. I think it would be good if we could talk one-to-one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then the second question is that obviously the world is moving very quickly. And I read this article about how people are using ChatGPT or, the chats to find, like, I'm looking for speakers to interview or someone to interview. And so how would you advise people like us to be found via these sort of new search platforms rather than engines? How would you advise so that, PR people, journalists can find us? And I do say that because I actually was found by a journalist, and I said to them, how did they find me? And they said they used ChatGTP. And I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, if you're in these rooms, like there's one called Lightbulb, there's quite a few now, these rooms where entrepreneurs can get matched with journalists. Do a brief post about yourself, just describing what you do. So, we talked about the press release earlier. You would want to do a shorter version of that, and just basically say, I'm Lavinia. This is what I do. I'm an expert in, and then bullet points. Contact me at, and they might not contact you that week. They might even not contact you that month. But as someone who uses these rooms to find people, I will use the search tool. If I'm writing about burnout, I will use the search tool and put burnout in it. And I will find every post from the last 3 years about burnout. And that's how I will find my burnout expert. So that's what you do.
So would you give us a list of these rooms? Because I've never heard of Lightbulb or any of these rooms that you're
Oh God, I can't remember the other ones. I only know Lightbulb by name. It's on Facebook.
Do you know if there's any on LinkedIn? Because I don't really use Facebook, but just out of curiosity.
I don't. No, I don't.
All right, thank you.
There may well be, but I don't. But I would get into Lightbulb. It's very useful. A lot of people. I mean, I've interviewed loads of people that I've found through Lightbulb, and a lot of people get a lot of press that way. Once you become known as someone who's an expert in something, in your case, AI. I mean, journalists are terrified of AI because it's taking their jobs. So it is quite tricky to get commissioned to get interviewed about AI. But if you find the right journalist, if the right journalist, is maybe writing for a tech publication or it could be a women's magazine where they want tech entrepreneurs or tech experts to talk about tech, because we are all a bit terrified of it, aren't we? Or some of us are. I certainly am. Yeah, I would start get into Lightbulb, honestly. But there's other ones. There's one called Editorial that I've seen advertised. I don't know if it's any good. I just use Lightbulb, but there are other ones as well.
I'll do a Google to see if there's anything on LinkedIn or the other platforms that I use. But yeah, thank you.
There may well be, but just talking about what you're an expert in, concisely in your pitches, in your thought, in your thought leadership, in your posts that you write on LinkedIn, people, you need to become appealing to people who perhaps do not know much about tech, as well as people that do.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Broaden it out. Any more questions? I'm just having a look. 4 new messages. Somebody said, I found with Lightbulb there were so many menopause experts on there, it wasn't working for me. Yeah, that can be a real problem because there are a lot of menopause experts. But I guess the thing is, well, what type of menopause expert are you? There's so many different aspects to menopause. Believe me, I've written about 50 articles about the menopause and HRT. There's a lot to say. So what is it that you specialize in if you're a menopause expert? Oh, somebody's put Editorial up. Thank you. Was that Rochelle? I think that's it, unless anybody else has a question. Is everyone okay with me taking a screenshot for LinkedIn? Are you all okay with that? Give me a bit of a smile. Hang on. Thank you so much. It's been fantastic. Oh, Julie, I missed you. Darn it. Lovely to see you all. Thank you so much. And do sign up for the boot camp, which will be incredibly valuable to any of you who are really serious about getting yourselves into the press. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.